Now it's time to preview Super Bowl 58 this Sunday in the Las Vegas desert. The Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers are meeting for a rematch of Super Bowl 54 to see who will take home the Vince Lombardi Trophy as Super Bowl 58 champions, with bragging rights for all offseason until next season starts. Let's go ahead and break down this game and give a quick preview of our thoughts of this game before we do a deeper analysis on keys to victory. Chase, so your quick thoughts here on this matchup.
Yeah, I think we covered it just a little bit. We're going to last week. We're going to go a little bit more in depth this week. Obviously, this is the game above all games, right? This is the most watched thing in America, like at all. It beats the Grammys, the Golden Globes, whatever soap opera is going on right now. This is the crown victory of everything, right? All eyes are on you, and how you win this is the Chiefs. They've got to make sure, right? And we're not doing Keith's victory, just quick thoughts right now. But I think the quick thoughts, the Chiefs have to play their game. It's important that the Chiefs go in there and they establish their game early in the game, right? The 49ers like to suck you into playing their game, try to keep them around. I think one thing is that you seen from the playoffs is the Chiefs are able to just take a lead and then never give it up, right? That's what they're built for. The 49ers have shown in the playoffs they're able to keep a game going. They're able to stay around long enough to overtake it in the end, right? So for the Chiefs, they have to make sure that if they're going to play that game, they're going to do get a huge lead early in the year, early in the game, and then cruise to victory. They have to watch the 49ers because that's a nasty 49ers team that will buck up right at the end and overtake them. I think that's the biggest thing. The other thing to watch is I think this is going to be very exciting to see. This might be the first time that Pat Mahomes has played a defense that doesn't crumble under the bright lights, right? We talked about how fake and phony that Eagles defense was last year. This defense, even with the bad showings in the playoffs, I believe this is a better defense than the Eagles was last year, and they actually have some true grade A1 studs, right? Nick Bosa is that reigning defensive player of the year. Obviously, he's not up for it this year, but he is a mastermind in that. He had 2 sacks last year. He's just coming alive. Fred Warner might be the best defensive player in the NFL, right? He could do everything from coverage to cover tight ends, cover wide receivers, blitz quarterback, right? He could do it all. And pair him with a defensive coverage guy like Drew Greenlaw in that middle of the field is going to be a very contested area, and I can't wait to see who wins that battle.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be a fun one for sure. A lot going on there on both sides. My quick thoughts though, I gotta be honest, I'm more concerned with the 49ers than I am with the Chiefs. And what I mean by that is when we're looking at kind of like the weaker points of each team, I think there's a lot more weaker points to exploit on the 49ers than there are on the Chiefs side. Let me explain just a little bit. So the 49ers center, right guard, and right tackle. So the whole right side of their line, they combined for 30th in pressure rate this season. Only 2 sets of the right side of the lines were worse at giving up pressure than this side. And guess who's on that side on the Chiefs defense? Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, who combined for 21 sacks together this season. So that just initial thoughts there, that's going to be a matchup to look at. It's going to be the 49ers offensive line on the right side going up against the Chiefs left defensive end side with their 2 best pass rushers, right? So that is something to look for as well. Also, kicker has been a problem for the 49ers. There have been several misses by Jake Moody during the regular season, and especially in the playoffs. Jake Moody in the playoffs is at 50%. He's 3 for 6. Okay, he's not kicking very good at all. Whereas Chiefs Harrison Butker in the playoffs, 7 for 7. Right? We know Bucker. Bucker very rarely misses, and he is clutch, especially in the playoffs when we need him to make those. I mean, you take a look at last year, we won two games because of his kicking, right? Won the AFC Championship and won the Super Bowl because of his leg. So he's been there before. He knows he's done it. Whereas you got Jake Moody, the rookie, he's had a shaky start to his career, and he's been shaking the playoffs. So if it's going to come down to a kick, and if it's going to be the 49ers making it, you know,
Very
that's one
true.
thing I'm kind of more concerned with the 49ers in that aspect, right? And then let's just kind of look at the playoff stats. So let's look at defense, Chase, because this is something I never would have thought in my entire life. This past 5 years, the Mahomes era, that I'd be talking about how the defense is more impressive and more important than Mahomes in the offense. But we're looking at defense. I mean, everybody's got 49ers have all these studs. They're the best team. They have not been playing well at all in the playoffs, right? Let's just call it what it is in the playoffs. 49ers points allowed per game in the playoffs, 26. Chiefs points allowed per game, 13.7. And that's with an extra game. 49ers defense allows 386 yards per game. Chiefs defense allows 320 yards per game. That's with one extra game. Not to mention that the Chiefs, their 3 playoff games were against the 3 best offenses in the league: the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Ravens. So they're going up against the best of the best that their conference has to offer, and they're coming out victorious. So do I have confidence that they're going to be able to take on Brock Purdy and that 49ers offense, even though they've got studs, right? The Avengers, as a lot of people have called it.
Yeah.
But am I confident based on the body of work that I've seen of what they've been able to do so far in the playoffs? Heck yeah. So a lot of these things is why I'm saying I'm more concerned with the 49ers than I am Chiefs, because of those main reasons right there, where the offensive line for the 49ers, special teams for the 49ers, and that defense of the 49ers. They're giving a lot of points, and it looks like the Chiefs offense has got it figured out in the playoffs. I mean, Mahomes and Travis Kelce could just go off in this game, and it would not surprise me at all. So that's my early thoughts here of why I'm more concerned with the 49ers than I am with the Chiefs. Now, all of that to say, it's not to say that the Chiefs don't have some problems and some flaws that the 49ers can exploit, which we're going to get in here too with the keys to victory, Chase. So I want to know, what are the keys to victory for the 49ers to go in and win?
Yeah, I think the keys to victory has to do with going back to our awards, right? Christian McCaffrey is the key to victory for the 49ers. He has to be established. You have to be able to run the ball with Christian McCaffrey and not rely on Brock Purdy's arm. I think the second one, the keys to victory, is the Chiefs' offense this year has been prone to turnovers, whether that comes from Pat Mahomes or giving McCole Hardman the 2 carries in the divisional round against the Bills where he fumbled both of them. The Chiefs offense have been prone to turnovers, and the 49ers offense or defense, even though they're failing, they are still the 3rd scoring defense in the National Football League, even through the playoffs. So they have to be able to take advantage of those opportunities when they arise, right? They won both of their games in the playoffs because they were able to get big turnovers in key moments, right? Intercepting Jordan Love on that last pass, stripping the ball from, I think it was David Montgomery who got the ball stripped
Jahmyr
right
Gibbs.
there. Jahmyr Gibbs did. Thank you for correcting. Jahmyr Gibbs got the ball stripped right there that set up that kind of the momentum shift that they needed, right? That defense, even though they've been struggling in the playoffs, they've still been opportunistic, and that is perfect against this Chiefs offense for the first time in a long while, has been turnover prone. I think that's the biggest things for their offense. They have to get Christian McCaffrey going right away, have to establish the run, and then their defense, they have to be able to get the ball and make it count when they get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's go ahead and stay here with Christian McCaffrey. So the 49ers are number 2 in the NFL in adjusted line yards when running behind their left tackle, Trent Williams.
Yes.
The Chiefs are number 29 in the NFL in adjusted line yards, defending runs behind the left tackle, right?
Oh
That
no.
right side of the defense,
Yes.
that line is their weak spot, right? And that just happens to be the strength of the 49ers offensive line, right? So Christian McCaffrey is going to be the 49ers' best friend and needs to be the focus. We know he is going to be the focus, but he really, really needs to be the focus, right? They can't, Kyle Shanahan cannot get cute and try to do these other things. Listen, I'm a Brock Purdy truther. I'm a Brock Purdy believer. But you have to give your best player the ball. They need to have these design plays to get Christian McCaffrey going to the left side, right behind Trent Williams, whether if that's just an outside run, whether it's a shovel pass, whether it's a screen pass, getting him out there on the left-hand side, because that's where the Chiefs' defense is the weakest and where their offensive strength is the strongest, right? They need to do that. This last Super Bowl that Shannon was in, he got so cute. He blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter because he got cute, was taking the ball out of his running back's hands, putting it in Jimmy G's hands, incomplete passes, right? Sacks, killed them, and let the Chiefs hang around and get back into the game, right? They can't do that in this game. China has to go with the system and stick with it, not get cute, right? We saw that's what happened with the Ravens. The Ravens tried to, The Ravens got out of whack, right? They got out of whack of what they normally do, and that cost them the game. 49ers can't do it. No matter what the Chiefs are doing, the 49ers have to stick with what their game plan and what they're good at, and that's how they're going to be able to win this game. Secondly, Brandon Ayuk, I said this before, and I'll say it again. Brandon Ayuk needs to make a special play. I don't know what that play is. Is it going to be an incredible 51-yard off the defender's face mask catch again? I don't know. But there's going to have to be some sort of play that he makes that's going to be a special play. Where we're going to think, man, that was an incredible play. Man, that was a game-changing play. Whether it's a big fourth down conversion, whether it's a toe tap in the back of the end zone for a touch, some sort of special play. If the 49ers are going to win, it's going to be because he's going to make a special play, at least one, at some point during the game. He's going to have to make that special play. He's one of the biggest reasons they're in this moment is because he's had several of these special plays against the Packers and against the Lions that has resulted in points or momentum changing events, right? And so he's going to have something like that that's going to happen in the 49ers, but it has to happen organically, right? These things have happened organically. They can't force it. If they're going to force it, it's not going to work. It's going to have to happen organically. He's going to have to make that special play. And then third, right? Obviously, this is a simple one, but with Mahomes and the offense, you have to don't give up touchdowns. Force them to kick field goals, right? If you're going to give up points, you have to force them to kick field goals, right? We saw all season. That's how you're beating the Chiefs this season. It's by holding that offense to low scoring points, not scoring touchdowns, and kicking field goals. I know it's like Garrett, but I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
This is the biggest game. You have to focus on what's been working and what we've seen, and that is a key to victory, right? You have to keep them out of the end zone. When they get into the red zone, which they will, you have to hold them to 3 points or less, right? You cannot score touchdowns because this team so far has been uncharacteristic by Kyle Shanahan by being able to overcome deficits, right? Historically speaking, they have not been able to do that. Once they get down, they do not come back. So far, they've done it twice this season, right? Are they going to be able to do that against the Chiefs in this defense? I think this will be the best defense that they faced all playoffs. I don't know because the Chiefs defense has just been so oppressive. They haven't let that happen, right? And so in order to keep that score low to where they can control that to where they would only need maybe a field goal to either tie it or to go up, or only a touchdown to go up, right? Not getting down by double digits because I don't think they're going to be able to overcome a deficit with the way this Chiefs defense is playing. So those are my three key victories here for the 49ers. If they do all three of those things, I think they can be successful and have a really good shot at winning this football game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. That was one thing. The last thing I had written down here is that Brandon Ayuk is going to have to Ayuk something out of right. He is the X factor. And the only other thing is that George Kittle has seemed to come up big in every game they need. Right, he scored that big touchdown, the very first touchdown in the Packer game for them. He wasn't very big until the very end, where he caught like a 4-yard route to give him a first down. That was his only catch of the Lions game. So those two are going to be the ones they have to key on. Most importantly, Brandon Ayuk, though. Brandon Ayuk is a special player, stuck behind, gets lost in this many mouths to feed, but he is going to do something, and that is going to be the turning point they need.
Yeah. All right, that's the keys to victory for the 49ers, Chase. Now, what are the keys to victory for the Kansas City Chiefs? How do they win this game on Sunday?
Yeah, so the first key to victory is that this Chiefs team is very different from every other Chiefs team that's been in the playoffs, right? They are a defensive focused team, and they should be. Their defense has been lights out. I think the first one is their X factor, L'Jarius Sneed, is going to have to deny that big play from Brandon Ayuk. I think that's most important, right? Is the defense of power from the Chiefs have really come from their cornerbacks and safety. Even though they're super young and super inexperienced, they played up in the big game last year. That shouldn't be anything new for them this year, right? L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, they've been absolute superstars. Sneed gave up one really big play in the AFC Championship, and right away he came back and made the most of it. I think that's the first one. The second key to victory, and this is a huge one, goes with Sneed too, is you have to eliminate penalties. The Chiefs are one of the most penalized team in the league, whether it's L'Jarius Sneed holding, whether it's Donovan Smith, who's known. Actually, the only thing I knew Donovan Smith for before he was a Chief was holding on the Tampa Bay Bucks. And then you got Jawan Taylor, who they've made
Led the
an
league.
emphasis emphasis on calling his false starts that I agree should be false starts, but they let Lane Johnson get away. I don't agree with that. Let's keep it down the middle. But they've made an emphasis on signaling him out and making him. They have to eliminate that. They have done very good through the playoffs. I don't know what changes in the Super Bowl. Again, they can't really stop the flags from flying from the refs. They can just stop making the mistakes. Right, L'Jarius Sneed, he's very good at finding that boundary. Right, he'll pick up one or two holding calls early in the game and then figure out where that is and just level out with that. I think that's the biggest thing. And the last thing is Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You have to get to work. Right, this is a offense that really can't take Travis Kelce not showing up, as we've seen in the playoffs. Every playoff game that you guys won, I'm not counting really the Dolphins. Again, that was like a JV defense. Yes, it was a playoff game. It's going to go, but that was not a real hard test, right? I think it would have been really, really hard for the Dolphins to win that game. So I'm going with the two that mattered, the Bills and the Ravens. And Travis Kelce dominated all of those games, right? I mean, he absolutely showed up in the AFC Championship. Some could argue he might have been the best player in that AFC Championship game outside of Pat Mahomes. He got my game ball for that week, got all 11 of his targets. He's going to have another game like that, right? This offense, I know they have Rashid Rice. He's super young. But Travis Kelce has to be able to make the big plays when called upon. The last thing is you got to rattle You got to rattle Brock Purdy. He's the third youngest quarterback to ever start a Super Bowl, right? Coming from Iowa State, never really playing in a game this big. Played in the AFC Championship. They were able to come to, the first AFC Championship game, able to come back from behind against a team that really wasn't supposed to be there. This is a way different ball game, playing against a true, proper Kansas City Chiefs team. That Brock Purdy, you have to get Brock Purdy uncomfortable. Because when Brock Purdy's uncomfortable, he throws 4 picks like he did in the Ravens game. I think those are the biggest keys to victory for the Chiefs.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. So, but yeah, so first I think is this is where I think being in this moment is going to help the Chiefs so much. They've been in here. I mean, the majority of this Chiefs team, this is their fourth Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
They're just coming off of one, last season. Like they've been here before. We talked last week how playoff experience matters, right? There are some, of the 49ers team from the last Super Bowl that are still on here, but a lot of the team is new, and including Brock Purdy, right? A lot of this team is new and hasn't been here before. So lights are going to be bright, the brightest they've ever been before, and the Chiefs team is more accustomed to that than this 49ers team. So my first point was exactly what you ended off with. Put pressure on Purdy, right? As I said before the game, that right side of the offensive line is weak. They're going to have to get after him. I pinpointed that Ravens game specifically, just like you did, to where he threw 4 interceptions because he was uncomfortable that entire game. That Ravens defense was on him 24/7, crawling all over his back. He was throwing plays, making bad decisions, trying to get the ball, trying to do something, right? And it resulted in it being 4 turnovers to the Ravens and the Ravens scoring points off of those, right? And they weren't able to do enough to come back into it, which goes to my second point is with the Kansas City Chiefs, when they do get turnovers, they have to score points off of them, right? They were not able to do that against the Bills, right? They turned the ball right back over. The Ravens turned the ball over 3 times against the AFC Championship. They were not able to score points off of that at all. They're not scoring points whenever they're getting turnovers. These are difference-making plays that the defense is making to help put this game away, and the offense is not doing their part to capitalize on those turnovers. Yes, they're running some more clock off. It's limited possession, stuff like that. You can say like, oh, there's a silver line, but you have to score points off these turnovers. The defense are giving you this gift of an extra possession. You have to go in there and you have to make the most of it. Get points. Get that gap and spread it. Make that gap as long as possible, as large as possible, right? That way your defense can just go in and get after the quarterback over and over and over and over again and do what Spags loves to do the best and just blitz the crap out of the quarterback. And third, something that has plagued the Chiefs all season that obviously hasn't bit them in the butt yet. They've tried it, hasn't bit them in the butt yet, and that is you cannot hurt yourself. Whether that's costly penalties, wiping points off the board, whether it's costly penalties, wiping down conversions or points off the board, all these different things, right? They cannot hurt themselves. The majority of their losses are whenever they go in and they hurt themselves, right? We've talked about ad nauseum the Kadarius Toney offsides, right? We've talked about the penalties by Jawan Taylor, these holding penalties, like stuff that's hurting themselves. Where instead of a 1st and 10 at the 30, it becomes 1st and 20 at the 40, and the drive just dies. You don't get any points because you're hurting yourself with stupid penalties, right? The Chiefs cannot do that here in this biggest game. So far, they've been playing extremely well. Mahomes has not turned the ball over in 6 straight playoff games, right? Mahomes is playing phenomenal, right? He's not turning the ball over. Other people keep turning the ball over,
Yeah.
right, with some fumbles and stuff. But you got to mitigate those, right? And that's what's going to be one of the extreme points. It's going to be who is going to turn the ball over and how that team is
Very
going to be
true.
able to capitalize, right? The 49ers have shown that whenever they get the turnovers, they're able to capitalize. The Chiefs have shown when they get the turnovers, they haven't been able to capitalize. I think that's a very important storyline. It's something that's going to be worth watching here. And so that's going to have to what happens. So Chiefs, get after Brock Purdy, make him uncomfortable, make him turn the ball over. When he turns the ball over, score. Score points off those turnovers. And when we get the lead, do not hurt yourself. Do not have costly penalties, costly mistakes, and turning the ball over and giving them an opportunity to get back in this game. Just shut the door and put it away. And those are the keys to victory for the Chiefs.
Yeah, nope. I agree with all of them. I agree. But
Perfect.
before we get to our next segment, which is going to be at the ending about this, I want to ask you a question. I seen this. This is all over my Twitter. A couple during media days a couple weeks ago, Nick Bosa had made a comment on that offensive line. I don't know if you've seen it or not, Garrett,
Oh, yeah.
about how they asked him what they thought about that Chiefs offensive line, and he simply said they hold a lot. I want to get your opinion on it because that's the kind of the battle we're talking about the most, right? That offensive line, costly penalties versus that defensive line that's really starting to come alive for the 49ers.
I mean, is it true? Yes.
Okay.
I mean, they do get called
Yes.
a lot of holding penalties, so it's not true. But I think it's mostly going off of what happened at last Super Bowl, where he was whining about on that wasp play that he was being held on that wasp play. And that's what prevented him from sacking Mahomes, and that kind of turned the tide. I think that's where that's taken back
Okay.
from.
Yeah.
I don't think it's talking about this season about them being hold a lot. I think it's talking about that last matchup
That's
that they
probably
played,
probably
that he was being held on that, and he's still salty about it. That's
yeah.
where I think it's coming from.
Okay.
But listen, give us any bulletin board material that you want. I'm
Yeah.
not mad about it. So I mean, if you're gonna want if you want to piss off the Chiefs before the biggest game of the year, go ahead. I'm not gonna cry about it. So I think it's stupid and ignorant to say stuff like that, especially because you don't poke the bear. You just don't do it. You just don't do it, right? And some people never learn. A lot of people have poked the Chiefs this season, especially coming into the playoffs, and they've made them pay. And so I think you're motivating that Chiefs offensive line to do some nasty things to you. And so are there going to be holding penalties? Sure, right? There's holding a lot that happens
Yeah.
pretty much every single play of the NFL. There are going to be holding penalties, on both sides, just because it's just going to happen, right? I mean
Yes.
that
Yes.
that defensive line is tough, and they're going to hold. Same thing is going to happen on the Chiefs, right? They're going to hold the
Absolutely.
Chiefs, and it's going to call just because those defensive lines, the that line of scrimmage, right, is going to be where this game is fought and won,
Absolutely.
large part of this game, and so yeah, so I'm not mad about it. It's whatever. I don't think he's kind of talking about like this season. I do
Okay.
think he's whining about the
About
last Super Bowl.
last matchup. Yeah. Yeah. I took it. Yeah. I took it a little different. Again, not my team, so I didn't have like the fuel to the fire that I would if maybe said it against the Green Bay Packers. But I just think Nick Bosa, the way he talks, the way he thinks, is so simple. And I'll use that word, right? I just literally think he's seen Jawan Taylor number 1 in holding penalties. Uh, T. Smith is number 10, is in the top 10, and then Donovan Smith is in the top 15. He just seen that and said, "Hey, they hold a lot," right? I maybe there is Nick Bosa could be a little smarter than I'm giving him credit for, but I literally think he just seen that they got called for a lot of holdings. Like, hey, they hold a lot, big deal, right? I just thought, it's funny how words get blown out of proportions both ways. Like, this is what the
Yeah.
Super Bowl media is. I just wanted to get your
Yeah,
opinion on
I
that.
yeah, I really hate Super Bowl media week. If I were those players, I would freaking hate that. I mean, to sit there and answer question after question after question, most of them being stupid. Like maybe that was like the 20th question he was asked that day. He's
Yes.
like, "I'm done with this." He's like, "They hold on, whatever. I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Like so, I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of context in there. Like I said, I'm not taking it like personally. It could very well be. I mean, like I said, statistically they do hold a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
statistically
That's
speaking, they do.
literally what I thought. And
But
then when I seen all the outcry, I'm like, oh, maybe
yeah.
that's right.
But
But
I
I just thought it
think
was a funny response. Every time Nick Bosa talks, I think it's just absolutely hilarious.
No,
He
yeah,
just
no,
has a
it is
very
funny, and I
simple.
think and I think it's too is compounded because they asked the owner about it as well, Jed York for the
Yeah,
49ers. Did you see that? And he talked about it as well, like the
yeah,
whole thing in the Super Bowl. So I think that's like it has to be right.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you lost the Super Bowl. This was a team you lost the Super Bowl against, so it still has to be there in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
What happened last time you guys played and all this stuff in there. So, but yeah, I'm not, I'm not
Yeah,
mad about
yeah.
it or whatever.
Okay. All right. And that will do it. Oh, nope, nope. The
Nope.
ending.
So the ending. So let's go ahead and talk about yeah. So what does a win mean for each team, right? So let's go ahead and say the 49ers are Super Bowl 58 champions. What does that mean for the 49ers?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my head is that gets the Brock Purdy haters in the media, right? Because the media, like we just talked about, they look at wins more than anything else. They're going to look right. We talked about the MVP potentially going to Lamar because of wins. That's going to get Brock Purdy painted in a very good light, right? Cam Newton has made some comments about Brock Purdy. Like a lot of people took that and run with it. A lot of people are coming around to the Brock Purdy slander. Um, I think he's getting more slandered than what he's due. I think he is a like better than Kirk Cousins type, but not top 10. But whatever, I think that's going to change that perspective of him, right? If he can come in there as Mr. Irrelevant and win the Super Bowl, that's going to be huge. I think the other big storyline is it gets the monkey off of Shanahan's back. I think people are scared to call Kyle Shanahan the best coach in the league because he's never won the big one, because the only really thing that he's known for outside of people who actually follow football is choking Super Bowls, right? He was the major part of the 28-3 Super Bowl loss. And then, of course, the Wasp play, the 10, choking the 10-point lead there. I think the people that only pay attention to football come playoff time or Super Bowl know Shanahan for being a choker. I think that's something that's going to be talked about by Tony Romo 2 or 3 times during this game. So I think that's the biggest one is it finally gets the things and we can actually have the debate. Is Kyle Shanahan the best coach in the NFL right now?
I mean, yeah, I mean it's those 2 points exactly. I mean, especially I think the biggest thing is going to be about Kyle Shanahan, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's one of those things where like you're always being compared to your peers, right? If you want to be in the upper echelon of coaches, you got to have some hardware, right? That goes with it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, when you're looking at, you can have all the stats in the world and be a great coach and have great teams and all that stuff, but if you never win the big one, you're just not quite there, right? And so to win this game, obviously, win a Super Bowl, but look at who you're beating, right? You're beating Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, right? Who were talking about how the best, you know, best right now in the league, head coach
Yeah.
quarterback duo, right? Stuff like that. So you put that on your resume. Not only you won the Super Bowl, but you did it beating the Chiefs, right? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So that's an extra, a
Yeah.
little extra to that Super Bowl win. So I think that'll be huge. And obviously the Brock Purdy. I mean, if he wins this game, if he plays within himself and plays well, right, and they win this game because he's not making mistakes and turning the ball over. Of course, you got to give him the flowers. I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to say, you don't
No,
have to
no, I
say
agree.
come in and say like, oh, he's better than Mahomes. He's better. He's the next time. We can keep it, from
They won't, but yeah.
exploding. But you can say, yeah. So we've seen it here. Brock Purdy obviously won the Super Bowl. He can lead this team to the Super Bowl because we just seen it, right? If he plays within himself, distributes the ball to his talented receiver corps, doesn't turn the ball over, makes some throws. He can make some throws now. Okay, he
Yeah.
can make some throws there, makes those plays just enough there to win. It's typical game manager, right? Where just trust him to make the plays that'll help win the game and stuff like that. So I think that would be obviously huge for him. Obviously the whole Mr. Relevant thing to being a Super Bowl champion will be crazy. Like that would be great. I love Brock Purdy. So I mean, if that is able to happen, like yeah, it would suck the Chiefs were to lose, but like that would be fun for me because I get to celebrate. How I've been high on Brock Purdy for a while now. So but yeah, so I mean that'll definitely get blown out of proportion by a lot of
Yeah.
people. Some people are just gonna say there's a lot of Brock Purdy haters that still won't be enough for them.
Very true.
Um, and at that point, it's like, what do you want him to do?
Yes,
He
exactly.
won us like what? Like at that point, he can't do anything, and you're just never gonna be
Satisfied. Yeah.
yeah, you're never gonna be satisfied. So this would be that would be a big deal for Brock Purdy's career, just to kind of be up there and win. As I know he doesn't look at the misrelevant. He doesn't care. He's like, I just want to come and play football. I want to win.
Yeah.
But it'd be good for him and good for his prospects, right? He also knows he's not making much money at all. So this is going to help for that next contract as well. So what would a win mean? It'd be Brock Purdy's going to get paid a lot of money
Yeah, it can
here
move out
in
of
the
his
next
house
couple
that
of years.
everyone talks about.
Move out of his apartment. His roommate's
Yeah.
going to be like, what the heck? You can't leave me, bro. Take me with you. But yeah, so that's what I mean with 49ers. And obviously, I think kind of a start to maybe, we're talking about a potential, are they the next Patriots? Are they the next Chiefs to have this little mini dynasty? Because
Yeah.
they've been in there the past 5 seasons. They've been right there, right? They've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in NFC championships. They've dealt with no one deals with more in no good. How am I trying to say this? They're one of the best teams in the NFL, and they're always dealing with injuries.
Yes.
I would say, no other elite team that we would consider in the NFL, any other elite team goes through as much injuries that they do.
I agree.
It's just insane. It's kept them out of a lot of games, unfortunately, and they
Yeah.
haven't been able to win. Right? I mean, we talked about last year the Brock Purdy thing, the Nick Bosa was injured year before. There's a lot of different stuff has happened to where it's very injury rate. So maybe this is the turning point where they can kind of build off that and kind of build this little kind of mini dynastic run there for the 49ers. I think that'll be a talking point. I think it should be a talking point, right? Because they've been there, they're not going anywhere, right? The future is bright for them and kind of keep moving forward. So I think that's going to be another talking point as well. Are they going to be able to kind of do what the Chiefs have done recently as kind of there on the NFC side?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. And that moves us to the AFC champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. What would a win look like for them? And let me tell you what I've got down. I've got a couple things. I think it officially crowns them as the next dynasty in the NFL. Right, I'm already crowning them as the dynasty. Right, getting to Super Bowls is almost as impressive as winning one. Right, the process of getting there is I believe the process of getting there is harder than winning one. You have to win a lot of games in a row, keep a lot of momentum, stay healthy through a season. But that will officially crown their dynasty. That would put Pat Mahomes as the greatest start of a quarterback's uh, um, career we've ever seen. Right, he's already had an incredibly great one, and probably already the greatest. It would just finish it where we might never see quarterbacks start this hot before. This would crown Kelsey as the all-time best tight end. Right, I think he already has, but if he's a major part of this and a past capacity, I believe if they win, he is going to be the Super Bowl MVP. I believe it's leading to that. I believe that's how they win. I talked about that, so that would crown him there, make him the best postseason playoff player of all time, right? Even better than some quarterbacks if they win it. And I think it crowns Spagnuolo as one of the best assistant coaches and one of the best Andy Reid disciple hires of all times, right? Because if they win this one, again, if they win it, it's going to be because of that defensive season throughout the woes that the offense have. I believe that it gives Spagnuolo finally we're going to give him the credit that he's due, right? This is going to be his Super Bowl win.
You nailed it on the head there, bro. I mean, yeah, dynasty for sure. I mean, there's people that are saying, not quite yet. They don't have the full amount of chips, but I mean, doing this 3 Super Bowl wins in a period of 5 years, you who else has done that, right? Only
Yeah.
the only other dynasty in recent memory, right? Only the Patriots, right? So this would firmly establish like there would be you wouldn't be able to deny that they would be a dynasty, right? So it would mark them as a dynasty. It would mark Patrick Mahomes as the greatest quarterback. I mean, the greatest quarterback ever, right? We're not going to say accolades and stuff like that because obviously Tom Brady, but the greatest quarterback. I mean, how? At what point? What shot can you throw at him?
Yeah.
Right now, then at that point, it's just longevity. Like, can he still play a high level throughout his career to try and catch Brady? Right. But 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 wins. Right. He's already 3-1. Right. Peyton Manning finished 2-2. Right. So I mean, even if you lose, he's still at the same rate as Peyton Manning was. Right. Drew Brees only ever went to one. I mean, all these other quarterbacks that have kind of been in recent memory, besides Tom Brady, right, he's already surpassed him.
Yes.
He's only 28, right? And there's only going to be more opportunities for him to be able to be in these games and win these Super Bowls, right? This isn't like all of a sudden, like after the season, hopefully we'll get back. It's like
They're back.
statistically speaking, they're going to be back. I mean, they're at
Yeah.
least going to be in the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
I mean, barring a crazy injury to Mahomes, right? That's pretty much that's what this point is. Like,
Yes.
and so dynasty run for sure. And I think it'll surely cement Andy Reid as the second greatest head coach of all time. Obviously, you can almost argue It's just tough because we're looking at Super Bowls, but you can almost argue he's better than Bill Belichick, just because some other things. I won't go there, but three Super Bowl wins from him, just the amount of success that he's had in both. Because the difference between Belichick is he's had success on every team he's been on. Obviously, Belichick has only been on one team for like 50 years, but without Tom Brady, he wasn't able to do anything. Andy Reid, coaching the NFC for a very long time, made straight NFC Championship games over there, went to Super Bowls, couldn't win until he got Mahomes, right? And then with Mahomes, he went to six straight NFC Championship games, four Super Bowls, won at least two, right? So he got it there. So Andy Reid's been doing it. I mean, he's just been doing it for as long as he's been a head coach for two different teams at two different conferences. So I think that's where it's something that could go in his favor as being maybe the greatest of all time at the end of it. But he'll definitely be the second, like hands down, no questions, with three Super Bowl wins. So I think that'll be a huge thing there for Andy Reid as well. And then obviously, what does the win look like for the Chiefs? It means that not only are they a repeat champions, but they are cementedly, in fact, the most hated team in all of the NFL.
Yes.
And I'm here for it.
Yes.
I'm here for it. It's crazy how just, a couple years ago, they were the love child of the NFL. Everybody wanted to win. Oh, Mahomes, really? All of a sudden this year. And it's stupid because what I'm so upset about is it's not even because they're winning and they're doing good. It's all the off the field crap.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
people hate the Chiefs, right? Mostly it's because of Travis Kelce, because he's in, obviously, his personal life. He's doing some commercials, with like, his commercials with different things that people are getting political about, and obviously his relationship with pop star Taylor Swift. And people are talking about, like, that's what they're hating the Chiefs for. They're not hating the Chiefs
Yes.
because they're actually good or they're bad people. They're hating it just for things that people are doing in their personal lives. So that's what annoys me the most. But listen, Mahomes said it first. He's like, I don't like being the villain. I just want to win. But if winning makes me a villain, I'm okay with it. And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm here for. So let's just win and let's just become the next villain of the NFL for years to come. I'm here for it. Hate us all you want, because the difference between the Chiefs and the Patriots is you hated the Patriots because they were doing some shady stuff, right? They were cheating. There were some scandals. It wasn't they were just winning, right? They were doing some shady stuff. Chiefs don't do that. Chiefs are straight up just balling, right? And having a good time, enjoying their life, and you hate them for it, right? Just because you hate people that are having fun whenever your life sucks, right? And so
Yeah.
leave us alone. We're enjoying this dynastic run here. They can do whatever they want in their personal lives. I don't care. As long as they show up on Sundays and play and win football games, that's all I care about.
Exactly.
So they're going to show up and they're going to ball out and they're going to win this Sunday. And this is going to be this whole narrative of what's going on. And I'm looking forward to another Super Bowl parade there in Kansas City.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And take it from me, from a guy who had the villain of the league as his quarterback for 3 seasons, and Aaron Rodgers after all the stuff that happened with him. It's fun being the villain sometimes, right? When I this win will turn the Chiefs into the villain. I can't wait to see what Pat Mahomes' villain era is, right? Take the quote from the Swifties, but it's going to be phenomenal. So I'm ready for that next season.